Tonight, a disturbing report about the final days of the Trump administration. The highest-ranking military officer in the United States was reportedly worried President Trump could start a military conflict with Iran in his final days in the White House. John Dickerson is hosting Face the Nation this week and joins us from Washington, D.C. tonight. And, John, there's a lot going on in this story, which is in the New Yorker.
There is a lot going on, and you can get a little numb to the revelations in a lot of these new books that have come out. They tend to be of a certain familiar kind that people got used to during the Trump years. What's striking here is that General Milley is not some fly-by-night character. He was picked by President Trump. He is a serious person, but he is such a serious person that he could not ignore the president's behavior in much the way that the president's political allies did. And so this is some sense from a serious person who is entrusted with keeping America safe of the level to which things got within the Trump White House in those final months in office, and a kind of searing portrait of just how bad things got and how close they got.
We know you'll be talking to people about that. And Massachusetts is one of 49 states now seeing an increase in COVID-19 cases. Levels here in Massachusetts are still relatively low. Our governor has reassured people about that, but we know you'll be talking to former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb about some of these spikes that are really causing concern around the country.
Yes, and in fact, we'll also be talking to the mayor of Springfield, Missouri, which is on the other end of the vaccination line, if you want to think of it that way, which is to say low vaccination, and they've been hit hard by the Delta variant. And we want to talk about how to improve the response and change vaccination. You know, the numbers are relatively low in states where there are high vaccination rates, and that's been a durable protectorant to the people who live in those states. And so Massachusetts is in much better shape than a lot of the other states where the vaccination cases are lower. We also want to talk to Dr. Gottlieb not just about, you know, all the benefits of getting vaccinated in this environment with the Delta variant becoming the major variant in America, but also the way in which the Delta variant is hitting different portions of the population differently. You know, you had the director of the CDC this week essentially say that there is a pandemic again, not in the whole country, but in those areas where vaccination rates are low. So this is a turn from a smoother path that America was on as vaccinations were starting to go into arms.
Yeah, as Dr. Walensky said, it does feel like a new phase in the pandemic. John Dickerson, thank you so much. And of course, you can watch John host Face the Nation Sunday morning at 10:30 on WBZ.
Are you looking to save some money on your monthly